Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back. This Week in America, our guest on the program is Chuck McConnell. He's the author of the book, Conquer Your YIPS, Win the Unemployment You Target, How Understanding Golf Stress Defeats Job Search Stress. This is such a fascinating concept, a fascinating book. And one thing that jumps out when you, so much does when you're reading, we can't talk about all of it, so I'll encourage you to go buy the book. But virtually every shot requires what? Sort of a new interpretation on the spot. And I'm thinking, and you point out, but the same thing may go for interview questioning. Can job searchers interpret and put these ideas into practice? It's sort of like each golf shot is different. Each question in an interview is different.
Well, that's right, Rick. And the techniques that we use are techniques we've perfected over our 15 years working with senior people in career search. One of the ways we do it, and we build it into our web portfolio for each client, which is unique to that client, but we go in and we want to make sure that we've developed their share stories, a share story that helps highlight what it was that they did to answer a problem or an area that was in need of solution in their business. So we go in and we say, well, we've had similar kinds of issues in our career, and here's how we approach it and build it into not only the resume, but the LinkedIn, and then also the web portfolio that we create for our clients. We want to establish, well, here is the kind of problem that we faced in that particular success story. Here was the impediment or the hindrance that we corrected. Here's the action we took. Here are the metrics of what we delivered. And then importantly, which many clients forget, when they go through their litany of a success, then, well, what about me made that happen? That's when we get into the behavioral competencies, the style of leadership that our client has used to make sure that success story occurred. We take them through that. We make sure they understand how that can be helpful to them in any conversation they have within their network, within the potential employers they're talking to. But that's how we make sure they understand. This is a disciplined approach, and this is why we're as successful as we are as a firm.
Well, and you are successful. You've been doing this for years. Talk about the success of a golf book, creating positive searcher solutions. When you started this concept, and suddenly you're probably seeing light bulbs go off as you're working with searchers, and suddenly they're discovering things about themselves, different ways to present themselves, to look at the different challenges. What's that been like, a golf book actually helping people get jobs?
Well, it all started, Rick, early on in the establishment of my firm. We suggested to our clients, it's good to tee it up to make sure. So I use that term, tee it up, to make sure you're successful in search. And that resonated with my clients. It was kind of like the precursor to establishing all of the various elements that are relevant in search to golf. So by teeing it up, what I suggest to my clients, you've got a target in mind. You've got a company, a potential employer, but you want to go in and make sure you're talking their language. So the first thing you do is, as you have a job description from that organization, you put together what their needs are. First step, make sure that you are talking to them in their language. Here is the problem that they face that we can interpret. So on a piece of paper, I suggest to them, put a big T on a blank piece of paper. On the left side of that T, put down the key elements of what their needs are as an employer. Then you've got the premise and the format to then on the right side of that T, and here are the competencies, the success stories that I've enjoyed in my career that pertain to the needs that you have. Then you've got a document that you can take with you into the interview, but it allows you to talk in their language, not only yours. You don't want to go in saying, well, here, I'm a great guy, hire me. I've got wonderful education. Here are all of my various degrees. You really want to go in and say, I think I have a grasp of what your needs are, and I believe that I can answer those with the career that I've had and the kind of problem solutions that I've been involved in.
The book is Conquer Your YIPS, Win the Employment You Target. Chuck McConnell, our guest on the program. You'll find the book at archwaypublishing.com, the usual places. Chuck's website is sccwilliamsburg.com. His phone number is 203-918-4391. I'll give you all that again as we get closer to the end of the interview. So much of this applies Whether you're, as we say, a golfer or a non-golfer. For example, one of the chapters, Between the Ears, YIPS, handling rejection. I want to take just a second and talk about that just to show people what's in the book. And we've all gone through that. We all see golfers. We see people shooting foul shots in a basketball game, kickers trying to make that 43-yard field goal to end the game, and they suffer from YIPS. Talk about handling rejection, how important that is, and the yips between the ears that you work with us to get over that.
Rejection is one of the biggest things to overcome in search. And many of the clients who ask for our services come in saying, I was told in the last three interviews that I came in second. And what does that mean? And so my response is always, it means that you're not well prepared with your story, what your brand is, what you can do to help them, all about them using your competencies to assist in their understanding what you can do to help. So rejection is something you deal with. But once we assist in going through the simulated interviews, the building of the web portfolio, especially helpful document, the optimizing of LinkedIn. My clients oftentimes say, I never thought of myself that way. Introspection with people in search is not a usual occurrence. Many times, senior most executives will come in and they will say to us, I never thought about my competencies in that way. I never thought about that. I mean, it's a job. I do the job. But it's important to be able to put it in words. Many senior executives don't have the words. So it's a great deal of time talking about their leadership style, how they operate as a leader. Once they get it in documented form, then they realize that they have a lot to offer, perhaps more than they realize going in. That eliminates the stress of rejection.
Chuck McConnell, our guest. That's MCCONNELL. The book is Conquer Your Yips with the Employment You Target. You'll find it at archway.com. Information at Chuck's website, sccwilliamsburg.com. Let me do that again, sccwilliamsburg.com. We'll have all of that up on our website. Is it possible that you can rely too strongly on the golf stress comparison? Can it go too far?
It can, but one of the elements that brought us to this book is that in watching golfers, professional golfers, you will notice that they have with them a caddy. Well, the caddy is not there just to carry the clubs. The caddy has walked the course before the match. They have a little pocket book that they carry with them, and the golfer also has a copy of that book. But in that little book, I'd love to have a copy of it and see their notes, but they identify the elements that they have to contend with on every hole. So if there is a wind direction that's critical, if they have an obstacle in the way, what is the dimension of the course at that point? And then when they get on the green, the caddy is extremely helpful in reading the curves and the undulations in the green, and that also is written in the book. So you got a caddy. In my firm, we have executive campaign directors who are extremely competent and well-versed in making sure the drill of career search ends up in a positive event.
It's interesting. Golf is a single-person exercise, and I'm wondering, does it support one's leadership competencies or success stories? And in coaching, it may be used as one of several approaches to create interview success, I understand.
Well, yeah, it is. It's the competencies come into play because they establish your brand. Many executives don't see themselves as a brand, but in truth, you become a brand as you establish your competencies, both professional and behavioral. And when you do that, you end up with, as I mentioned at the outset, you don't want to go into search as a generic. As a packaged goods marketer in many ways, in many organizations in my business career, you realize that the most important thing is both on the shelf, in the consumer's mind. You can't be seen as just another product. You have to come in making sure that you're seen as a unique product. We use the term unique extensively in our counseling and our coaching. Uniqueness is important because you're dealing with tens of hundreds, if not thousands, of competitors in search for a particular gem career situation. So you want to make sure that you establish what your brand is, how you can help them in their language, and the competencies and the avoidance of yips that brought them in their career to successes can be extremely helpful.
I'm going to take one more chapter before we have to conclude the program here. Final pitch yips. And this is interesting. The closer you get to the goal, the more precision is required. And you think that, okay, if you're playing in a tournament, maybe playing for $5 with your neighbor, you're playing golf. The closer you get to the end, more precision is required. As you go through the interviewing process, you go one level to the next level. Talk about that, the precision that's required, because I know you pride yourself in really having them prepared every step of the way.
Well, the reality in golf, which I think is also appropriate and why I put an entire chapter devoted to it, is the closer you get to your target, the green, the pin, that's when most of the shots are taken. And we know that over half, or at least for golfers like me, over half of your shots are taken to get to the green. And then once you're there, there's a lot of opportunity for stress and yips to occur when you're on the green. So the importance of that concept is you can't give up. Just because you have a terrific 250-yard or more tee shot, you can't say, well, look at what I did. Great, I'm there. I'm more than halfway to the green. But that's when you really have to focus, get down to, all right, this is the time to really pay attention, because the next stops are the ones that add up quickly in the score. So we spent a lot of time talking about that, but I think it's a truism. The closer you get to your goal, especially in search, the more you're kind of tempted to relax. And you can't do that. You have to realize the goal has not been achieved yet. The goal comes when you get a written offer of employment and you're in the process of negotiating, which we also help our clients do. But that's really the rubber meets the road kind of time, and you can't lose your focus. We spend time making sure that doesn't happen.
The book is so well done. Our guest on the program is Chuck McConnell. The book is Conquer Your Yips, Win the Employment You Target, How Understanding Golf Stress Defeats Job Search Stress. It's available at archwaypublishing.com, other places where books are sold. His phone number, 203-918-4391. Video version of our program up on our YouTube channel. You can see Chuck and information there. That phone number will be there as well as on our website. He heads transition management for SCC Williamsburg. He's been doing this for over 20 years. Job searches, job transition. Chuck, it's been a pleasure having him on the program. The book, again, is so innovative and well done, and you lead us through every step of the way. Thank you for taking some time to spend with us on the program. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure, Rick. Thank you.
You're welcome. The book, once again, is Conquer Your Yips. The author is Chuck McConnell. Book available at archwaypublishing.com. Information on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Back on today's program after these messages.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, associate producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, segment producer. Ben Watson, webmaster. Otto Bechet, director of engineering and TV production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, executive producer of This Week in America.